bakery had my mom's car towed, so I got the business closed down. This happened about 8 years ago, 2013. And when I tell people the story, I get mixed reactions. So I figure why not tell Reddit. My mom and I decided to go out to lunch one day. We drove until we found a lot that's business did not appear to be open at the time. My mom pulls into the lot and parks in a spot. We both walk over and investigate the business's window. It was a pastry shop for purposes later in the story. The lights are not on. The door is locked and there is a sign that says closed right behind the door. We conclude they are closed and went to eat our lunch. We finish eating about a little over an hour later and come back to find out our car was missing. But now the bakery was open. My mom and I walk inside of the bakery and ask if they had seen our car. The owner, with a very stern tone and attitude, said, "Yeah, I had it towed because it was taking up spots for potential customers. You should have come inside to ask me first." My mom responds that we did attempt to see if she was open and even buy something to see if we could park there for an hour or so. She calls us liars and said she had been open all day and we never attempted to ask. My mom just basically said we tried and that it was wrong for her to tow us with so many other spots still available. The owner said something back to my mom that really upset her and made her cry. All while this was going on, I was taking mental notes that this bakery pastry shop was having ventilation insulation work being done. The insulation worker, who I can only assume was a random contractor and not a specialist, was doing the work right over the prep table for the food, all while smoking a cigarette. As I go to console my mom, I turn around and tell the lady her sign still says closed like when we originally came to the door. She storms up to me, picks up the sign and slams in around to open. We are open now. I calmed my mom down and we eventually got the car back from the tow company and got home. Once we got home, I was angry that lady made my mom cry. So I wanted revenge. I called the health department for the city. I say exactly what I wrote above to the guy on the phone, who puts me on hold and tells me to repeat everything I said word for word to his director. I tell the director the story. Nothing about the car being towed, obviously. I was a concerned citizen. She verifies the address, location with me 3 separate times. Yes. The name was X. Yes, it was across the street from this restaurant on this street. She then tells me that she shut down that business the week prior for plumbing issues, insulation, and multiple other infractions. She was told she could not be open and operate a business until the plumbing issue was fixed and approved. Told me she would handle it. Later that night on the news that business was being shut down for good for all the infractions, and I could see my mom look so confused and happy at the same time. Like karma worked for her that quickly. Told my mom years later and she loved it. You baked them good. Make my mama cry? Now you gonna cry. I love it. I don't see how this could be a mixed reaction elsewhere. Fits the sub perfectly. This reads like it was an episode of the Paw Patrol. Quick. Get the mayor on the phone. I believed the story until the part where you saw it getting shut down live on the news and on the exact same day you reported it, no less. Come on now. That did not happen. What kind of baker would allow someone to smoke inside their building? That doesn't add up whatsoever. When the health department investigates a claim, you aren't gonna speak to any directors or managers. They'll usually ignore it when you're bombastic over the phone, because people maliciously do this all the damn time. Not only that, but even if the health department shuts you down, they will be given multiple chances to clean up their act and be given a full retest with the possibility of a perfect score. This screams fake. Honestly, this story smells funny to me. It's a bit strange that a bakery owner would have allowed someone to smoke indoors because the smell gets absorbed into food. The possibility that a random contractor, instead of an insulation specialist, made you suspicious? Builders' licenses usually encompass insulation licensing, so I'm not sure the issue there. A bakery closing down over plumbing issues and a contractor working over a prep table was worthy of TV news? It just doesn't instinctively strike me as probable. The real question to me is how they would have prepared the kitchen, then baked and decorated their inventory for the day from when you parked until you walked into the store. That would take some outlandish speed. Bakers usually wake up hours before the crack of dawn to prep for the day. The fact that this bakery was apparently doing business when they shouldn't have, only to open around lunchtime, seems weird to me. Did it say no parking, no away? Because if it did, TGEY can tow you no matter. New Orleans is one of the most chaotic cities in the country, with health code violations out the wazoo. It's difficult to realistically imagine that an administrator would be able to not only prioritize and pull off shutting down a small bakery on the same day, but get a slot about it on the news. They originally got shut down for plumbing issues? What violation gets you shut down for a plumbing issue? That's weird. The fact that the sign still said closed really just does it in. Way to go, one. Stupid story written by a stupid child. Sounds like a made-up story. Sweet fan fiction. I did the exact same thing to a business in Halifax, Nova Scotia that had far worse violations going on. And the health department there did absolutely nothing. Do you know how I know your story is fake? Your obvious need to reply to every comment that calls you out on it. A sane person would just tell their story and move on, but you are just thrilled that people ate your shitty story up, and now you are just baiting for reactions and further need for validation. Clearly a made-up story. If this story is true, which I seriously doubt, then it is a fine example of a Deus Ex Machina variant. You were mad that your bullshit was called after you did something wrong, and there just happened to be, in plain sight, violations that were bad enough for you to think you could report them. You called the city health department and actually spoke to the director that day. The director shared information with you about previous infractions. Then, this government agency moves at the speed of light to shut the business down. And it's not the news that night. If the bakery was still closed down because of the other violations and she only turned the sign over so she didn't look like a dick, how did you close it again? Why would the news report on a store that was already closed? You don't close a store that's already closed. All of this happened in about 12 to 14 hours at the maximum? Perhaps the entire story isn't a lie, but there are some large embellishments. Told my mom years later. Wouldn't you have told her like the moment you hung up with the director? Odd sentence. Bullshit.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.